Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Sandman Season 2, Episode 3. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're immediately picking up where the last episode left off when Azazel has made his ultimatum towards Dream. And Dream's like, I'll put it under consideration. He's like, no. This is what's going to happen. He's like, I said it will be under consideration. Go, and just like bounces him out of his room. So now he's talking to Lucien later on, which is like, okay, can I say something that won't piss you off? He's like, well, that's already too late. She's like, no, makes you pissed at me. Why not give it to the demons? Like, it would be better because, once again, hell is technically their realm. Plus, at the end of the day, you will give Azazel what he wants and he'll give you nada, so it's kind of it's a win-win. It's like, is there any reason, because there's like 50 reasons to give it to him, like isn't there like what are your reasons for not giving it to the demons? And it's because he's like, because I know Azazel's ambitions go beyond just rule. He will never be satisfied with just ruling hell. He will try to conquer every other realm, including our own. And I cannot trust him. And even her being like, well, could Lucifer be trusted? He kind of shoots her daggers into with his eyes. And it's like, yes, the Morning Star is one very untrustworthy person. But to be fair, you can trust in the fact is she walked away from this gig and kind of gave up. She did kind of saddle you with all of this responsibility. So now the question, begins like, there's so many people who want this for different reasons. And it is such a hard choice because it's like, can you trust yourself to make the right choice? What is even the right choice in this regard? So, because Nuala couldn't sleep because her brother was either getting his back blown out or blowing someone's back out, she ended up going for a walk and ends up running into Dream. And she talks about the fact is they met a very long time ago, so it's like over 500 years ago. Well, 400 and some change, less than 500 years ago, rather should say. And it's like, we did? He's like, I don't remember. She's like, when Oberon and Queen Titania came. Because apparently Dream used to be in good terms with a fairy. He used to go there a lot, but basically the relationship between him and Titania like got strained. It sounds like there was something going on between them. It did not work out, and now the relationship is what it is, and he's banned from coming to fairy, even though he was always like a welcomed guest up until a certain point in time. So he's the one that kind of extended out what is essentially an olive branch that kind of led to relations with fairy going back to being good. So basically with William Shakespeare, he put on a play and a performance, and he invited Oberon and Titania as well as people from fairy. I love the effect of like Wendell opening the doorway. I was like, I like that. He's just like this drawing that comes to life and grabbing one side of the cliff and like the mountain or whatever and just like sliding it open. I was like, I just love how that was depicted. Like, I don't know if that's like straight up panel for panel, like shot for shot, like straight up a panel from the comic, but I'm just like how that's depicted. I was like, that's such a cool depiction of like opening a doorway between dimensions. Like, I was like, that's sick. But like he puts on this performance, and I think it's so fascinating because they realize while they're sitting down watching the play, because Dream doesn't want to spoil things for them. It's like, basically it's kind of their story being told, and they're like, oh my god, that's someone pretending to me. Oh my god, that's someone playing Puck. That's someone playing Titania. So this is someone playing Oberon. And the whole point is, and I thought was such an interesting discussion later on about, well, it's not. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's like two interesting conversations. One, the one he has with Titania, which I thought was interesting, where it's like, William Shakespeare got what he desires, and it's kind of like, oh, isn't that a good thing? But it's like, well, there's kind of a downside. The price to pay for getting what you desire. It's like, well, what's the downside to that? It's like the price you'll pay is once you've gotten what you want, you can never get that feeling again. The feeling of the chase of once you have what you want, the wanting is no longer there anymore, and that is actually what's kind of robbing you. And I thought that was such a like really interesting, like, philosophical question about once you've accomplished what you want to accomplish or got what you've got, it's not as going to be as fulfilling because it's kind of like now there's a new emptiness because that thing is the thing you were aiming for. The chase was the great and powerful and interesting thing, but now that you got what you want, then it's not as exciting because it's like the chase is what made it so exciting. I mean, like I said, that isn't just about desire, which, you know, that conversation could be applicable to anything, but it's really interesting because, like, when you tie it into the larger theme of the episode, especially the ending, that conversation kind of comes a little full circle about, like, you know, wanting what you wanted. The wanting is what is so nice, but once you've gotten what you wanted, it kind of isn't as fulfilling as you thought. Yeah, so there's that. But then there's also the conversation about what Dream is like. I wanted you to see this because, you know, the story is humanity will continue telling your story for generations upon generations until everything is gone. But then Oberon's like, but this isn't exactly what happened. But Dream is like, whether something is exactly what it was, it doesn't matter because dreams can outlast facts and truths, which will easily turn to ash and dust and disappear. And I'm like, oh, once again, it's so beautiful and poetic. Apparently it's specifically a Shakespeare line, but even Nuala, like, quotes it back to Dream because she was like, no, I was behind you when you were talking to the king and queen and heard everything you said at the time, because she wanted an introduction, but Clarican was like, no, like, I'll introduce you another time. And to now, funny enough, they did get the somewhat of an introduction, but all these years later. I mean, because to be fair, they didn't have a proper introduction last episode, but they kind of did, but kind of didn't. But it's like, he has kept her to memory now. Because for her, it's like, what you did back then, because he's like trying to be like, no, that was Shakespeare. She's like, no, it was you. Shakespeare gets the credit for it, but those were your words. That was you. You're the one that kind of pushed all that forward. You know, you were kind of the inspiration in which Shakespeare channeled his desires through. But at the end of the day, you're the reason why you basically held up a mirror and made the king and queen realize that they were at fault within your own ways and in your own manner. And so it's like, you need to basically do the same thing here. And so he applies what she brought him up into in that moment. And he goes systematically by everyone and kind of breaks down why they, because, like, right, he wants to listen to what the fairy have to say and he gets that. But at the end of the day, it's not something he can comply with. But he won't give it to the demons. He won't give it to the chaos. He won't give it to Kilderkin. He won't give it to Odin. He won't give it to Susano either. Because at the end of the day, for him, it's like, it needs to be... Hell isn't an entity on its own. It exists as kind of like the dual side to heaven. You can't have one without the other. Their existence is defined by the other. So without hell, there is no heaven. So if anyone's going to decide what to do with it, he passes it to the angels to return to God. It's like, it's in the God's hands. Now, funny enough, God left it to you to make a choice. And it's like, well, the choice is I'm going to give it back to you. Making a choice no one saw coming. Obviously, Azazel, God, I'm butchering the name every time. Azazel was not too happy because he's like, Ayo, like, we made a deal. Like, do you not care about Nala? He's like, but the thing is, you can't do anything to me in this moment because you made a promise to protect all your guests, and I'm one of your guests, so you can't harm me. He's like, true. I made a declaration to protect all guests here, those I'm aware of and those that aren't. So, yes, I'm supposed to protect you, but I will also protect Nada because I won't let you harm her. He's like, all right, cool, bet. Transformers like, come get her if you want. Dream pulls her out, and then he tries to gobble Dream, and he's like, oh, you're mine. The dreaming is mine as well. And he's like, wait, where are you? And he's like, you poor, dumb idiot. Did you forget what realm we're in? Maybe you had a shot in any other realm, but this is my world, and things bend to my will here. So, traps him in a glass bottle. It's like, it's your own fault, you idiot. Like, why he has home court advantage. Why would you start crap? Especially because you made the point of, oh, I renounce myself as one of your guests. Well, gave him free reign to do this because it's protection, because it's like, you're the one making moves and you just announced yourself as no longer a guest, so I had to put you in your place. And I love that he's like, cool, anyone else want to step up and have complaints about my decision? He's like, good. So Nada's being taken care of while he kind of contends to the guest. So one by one, talking to everyone. Kilderkin's like, right, I respect your decision. It was not an easy one, but I believe in what you've chosen. And then Chaos steps up and is like, yeah, to be fair, I didn't care who ended up, like, I didn't want hell for myself. I just wanted to make sure it didn't end up in anyone's hands. So this was fun. This was exciting. Thanks, Mr. Dreamy. And then bounces. The Norse gods step up. Their situation is like, obviously, Odin's not too happy, but it's like, oh, we're going to throw Loki back onto the earth. But then, like, you see Loki struggling. My immediate thought was like, are you pulling an MCU Loki here where you're pretending to be, because initially I'm like, are you pretending to be Thor? Because I was like, is Thor actually Loki and Loki is actually, because I'm like, you definitely disguise yourself. You are the god of mischief and trickery. So I'm like, it's got to be. Then I'm like, did you pull an MCU when you're pretending to be Odin? I was like, I don't know. Because like Dream definitely felt something was off, but he didn't say anything. So I'm like, are you just going to let that slide or what? So there's that. And then the other group that steps up, is the demons. And it's Merkin being like, he's not a diplomat, but at the end of the day, Azazel just wanted what was best for his people. It's like, he just, he's a warrior, but not a diplomat, but he just did what was in best. And he's like, no, like we both know, Lady Merkin, that his ambitions go beyond hell. And she's like, what will you do with him? He's like, nothing. I'll keep him locked up until he can reflect upon his actions and his manners. And she's like, you are so merciful, Lord Dream, more merciful than he ever would be to you. And he proved that, Azazel proved that himself. And then finally we come to the fairies where Clairkin is like, yeah, my sister's staying behind because she's an offering by Titania. And it's like, wait, I guess it was always meant to be like a bargaining chip. It's like Titania, it's like, oh, let me leave you a lovely gift to kind of sweeten the deal. And even if things didn't probably go their way, the plan was always probably going to be a situation of, I don't know if that was always going to be the bargaining chip, and it was kind of a moot point now that Heaven has the key. So it's like, okay. I mean, because they didn't know at the time that Dream had struck a deal with Heaven to get rid of that tiding that, the fairies have to sacrifice like 7 of their people to hell. Those tidings are no longer a thing, but it's also because of Nuala. Like, she's the one, her conversation with Dream convinced him to kind of like sweeten that deal and, craft that deal with Heaven. So it's like, oh, you kind of owe her for that. But yeah, she's the bargaining chip, and it's like, if she goes back to the fairy, Titania is not going to be too happy. It's like, my rule is my rule and my decision. Even Dream's like, well, she doesn't have to stay here if she doesn't want to. I kind of don't want to accept it, but it's like, you kind of have to. And it's like, oh, well, because Nuala, like, made that happen, she could come back from time to time. But Nuala's like, I have no interest in going back to a queen who wants to use me as an offering and a brother who obviously doesn't care enough to like really fight for me, because he knows like it was wrong, because the entire time she was unaware. He's like, oh no, I thought you knew. It's like, no, you specifically were having fun living it up, knowing that you're gonna have to leave your sister here, but you didn't care. I mean, I get it, you don't want to suffer the queen's ire. They didn't really say too much about the king, but more so about the queen's ire. It sucks that your sister is this bargaining chip. And so it's like, damn, that sucks. But I think she'd rather be here than anywhere else. And it's like, yeah, this is at least, for the time being, she's a welcomed guest. I don't know if she's going to be staying here forever, but at least for now, she's staying here. And her brother's like, well, at the very least, I can come visit you from time to time. And it's like, yeah, we'll see how welcoming your sister will be in the future. So he bounces, and Dream asks her to drop her, like, the veil, or rather glamour she has up. And she reveals herself wholly, and she's using her, like, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, I didn't think about it to this episode, because I was like, isn't Scully like doing like a British accent? I'm about to say, like, doesn't she have an Irish accent? I looked it up to make sure. I'm like, yeah, I thought I was misremembering, because the thing I know her from is like the Nevers, and it's been a hot minute since I've seen it, so I'm like, I could have sworn she had an Irish accent in that, because she is actually Irish, but I'm pretty sure she uses her natural accent for that. So, but it's like, yeah, it's because the queen doesn't like her accent, and the queen being very posh as she is, she had her put on that voice and everything. So get to, relax a little bit. She's going to be sticking around. And Taramis with like her smart remarks being like, oh, hey, finally, like I have a whole bunch of flowers growing in the garden, and finally someone's gonna take advantage of it and eat them. And just like once again, like the fact that she gets little smirks out of Dream. But it's like, yeah, like we got Nada here, and now Nuala. Like, is there anyone else staying? And then we cut back to Susano, and I was like, what is he up to? And I was like, oh, you're Loki, aren't you? The moment he took off his shoes, I was like, it's Loki. And Dream's like, why did you choose Susano? He's like, why wouldn't I? Like, who cares? Like, no one's going to miss him. Because I guess it's like he's kind of operating in the underworld and he's never kind of freed himself from that. So it's like, right. Like, no one's going to miss him. So it's like, I can't let him suffer for you. But it's like, yeah, like, but you would have me suffer? It's like, all right, fine. I could create a fake version of you to seem like you've been in prison the entire time and free you both. It's like, oh, you could? It's like, yes. But you would basically owe me. And Loki's like, I'm under nobody. He's like, then I guess you won't mind if I tell Odin that you escaped. And it's like, fine. What will I have to do for you? Nothing yet. But it makes you wonder, like, what are you going to call in the god of mischief for? Like, what are you going to do on that front, Dream? What is his favor? It's going to be interesting to find out what that favor ends up being. So they strike their deal. And then eventually he goes off and meets Lucifer herself, just kicking it on the beach. It's like, oh, like, are you enjoying retirement? She's like, I was. And he breaks it down about everything. She's like, oh, you here to like gloat about your victory? He's like, well, victory must mean that I won something, but I lost something. And she's like, what? It's like, I gave the key back to the creator. She's like, really? She's like, huh, impressive. He's like, you're disappointed? She's like, no. She's like, Jesus, I wish I, not funny. She's like, I wish I thought about that. Because she's like, you know, God's a cunt. I was like, oh, that's funny that you would have that perspective. Because this wouldn't be the first series that's had that perspective. I mean, Supernatural has that perspective. Good old Chuck, major asshole. I'd also say Preacher, a fellow Vertigo / DC series, also presents God in not the most favorable of light. I mean, to be fair, it's not just Big G God. I mean, it's like a lot of stuff I've brought up previously, maybe in this or something else, being like, yeah, the whole conversation. Yeah, I think it was this because I was talking about like the different interpretations of gods. Like, typically, gods across all mythologies end up being massive cunts. So, you know, it's not like it's that outlandish or out there. It's just funny that just multiple things have shown Big G God. I mean, I think you could probably make the argument you read the Bible. You could probably, once again, hey, I'm not the religious guy. I haven't read the Bible, but I'm saying, like, you know, the little I've studied about theology and stuff over the years, I've gone like, oh, Big G God is kind of a, you know. So, yeah, it's just funny. But either way, Lucifer's still keeping to her word because Dream's like, you promised to destroy me. And she's like, yeah, but I was more so mad at God than anything. And it's just kind of like, yeah, she's going to continue enjoying her retirement because it's like, oh, did you find Nada? And it's like, I did, but she doesn't want to talk to me because every time he asks Lucian, like, can I see her? It's like, oh, she needs to rest. She needs to rest. It's like, he knows, like, that's Lucian's kind way to be like, she doesn't want to see you. And so he doesn't know how to make it right. I mean, once again, how do you make up for, like, condemning someone to hell for 10,000 years? You can't really make that right. And so I thought it was interesting because from Lucifer's perspective, it's like, right, you can start again. She's like, look at me. I was able to start again. Maybe you can too. Like, you can find a way to kind of start over. So finally has his meeting with Nada. And obviously she's like, the fact is he has changed, but he's still, there's a lot of core aspects of himself that are still messed up. Like, the fact is that he's like trying to say something and she's trying to say something at the same time. You saw what he was about to say. He was about to say, I warned you. It's like, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. You should be apologizing. And what does he say? He's like, I think what I did, I overreacted. I think I owe you an apology. And for her, it's like, you think? Not that you do owe me an apology. You didn't say I'm sorry. You think that you should apologize. And for her, it's like, look at me. After all that you did to me, condemning me to 10,000 years because I didn't choose you. Like, all me being burned and freezing and being cut day in and day out. Because he's like, oh, you must be hungry. She's like, yeah, for the first couple thousand years. But then eventually, like, that kind of withered away. Because, like, I don't have a human body. I'm just me, my soul, suffering through the pains of hell. And you condemned me to that, you know? Versus like, well, typically if you're in hell, you're kind of condemning yourself. I don't think that's applicable in this regard because it's like, no, you specifically trapped me in hell and created the situation. Or maybe he didn't want to try to be like, well, actually, you kind of... I think it is wholly on Dream. I don't think she played any role in her own torture for that long. because I feel like he probably would have done the douchebag thing to try to be like I said, actually, you kind of created your own hell. But like I said, I think it's different in her case because he literally put her there versus like humans putting themselves there. But yeah, she goes up to Dream and slaps him and is like, look at me. He's like, no one strikes me. She's like, what are you going to do? Condemn me to hell again? He's like, no. He's like, I'm sorry. And that does take her back because she doesn't expect him to actually apologize. He's like, I shouldn't have done what I did. And the fact of the matter is, we should now discuss your future. And she plans to walk the mortal realm to see what it's become now. And he's like, are you sure this is what you want? He's like, the mortal realm is treacherous. She's like, more so than hell? And it's like, let me go with you. It's like, last thing she wants after 10,000 years of imprisonment, if she's going to want some company, it's going to be with someone that's definitely not you. But he's trying to be like, right, like, I love you. And she's like, no, you don't. If you really, like, you don't know what love is. She's like, I don't even think your kind, the endless, even know what love is. And he's almost just like, how can you say that? Like, the fact is, you don't get to tell me what's in my heart. I do love you. But for her, it's like, I don't love you. Because true love, when someone that's in love, you would never do that to someone you love. She's like, I think for you, you believe you're in love. But what it was kind of, like I said, bringing that whole conversation earlier about desire coming full circle, where it's like, you desired me, you wanted what you could not have, and her saying like, it's not a bad thing, desire, it's not a bad thing. He's like, desire is like, ooh, that word, funny enough, he's having that conversation with Titania, but it's like, well, who knows where his and Desire's relationship was all those centuries ago at that time, but definitely now the word desire like tastes so sour on his lips, because it's like, well, you can't ever mention that word without thinking about your sibling who's the literal embodiment of it. And it's like, because Dream thinks of himself as better than Desire. It's like, Desire is a douchebag. Desire is a destructive, manipulative, terrible, like, my sibling sucks, but I'm better than my sibling. But just like in this moment, it's like, no, even as powerful as you are, you can still be wrong, because Dream has never thought of himself as wrong and thinks himself right, whereas his sibling Desire, well, you're wrong. Everything about you is wrong in the regards of how you operate and what you do, your flippantness. But it's like your overbearingness and your need to be right and thinking you're right and believing yourself to be better than your sibling. I think all your siblings, but especially Desire, you think yourself better. And it's like, they kind of have this thrown in your face. And I just love that last shot too, of when the door closes and he's in darkness and his eyes glowing yellow. I was like, oh, I just love the aesthetic of that. And even when the light flashes, you still see his eyes yellow, until like even then it's just pure, you can't even see his eyes in the darkness anymore, you just see his silhouette. And I'm just like, oh, I just love that from like a cinematographer. I'm like, oh yeah. Like sometimes like I can get like really, like, I can have it hard on for, I'm not the biggest cinematography nut, but sometimes it's like moments like that where I'm like, oh, it gives you like the biggest nerd boner sometimes and shit like that. So interesting developments. I am curious to see how Dream takes this going forward. How his new guest being here, how much of an effect that has on him going forward. Maybe she can be a positive influence on him continuing to change. Because yes, he has changed in some regard, but he's still, once again, those nasty little traits of his were still there. I reiterate it. Like he was about to say, I warned you. Then he was about to snap at her for slapping you, which she has every right to after everything, that it's like, it's the sad reality of, you think like, no, I've changed, baby, I've changed. And it's like, well, have you really? Or are you such an endless being that you are, that how can you make up for millennia of being stuck the way you are? Change isn't going to come that quickly. Yes, you're changing little by little, but there's still a lot of who you are that remains intact, and not for the best, and not in the best way either. So really fascinating developments. I'm curious to ultimately see where the next episode takes us. This is we're at the halfway point for Volume 1. There's 3 episodes left in Volume 1, so I'm excited to see where these next episodes take us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.